The screaming got louder and closer to me. I felt a chill down my spine. I felt like I was being watched by some unseen force. Hey, spooky siblings. This Fear Friday, Polty and I bring you frightening and true encounter stories with La Llorona.
Classic! Real nice lady. Very social. Loves meeting new people. She's our neighbor here in Texas.
This happened to me when I was about 11 years old. It was the 90s. I have lived my whole life in El Paso, Texas. The culture is rich in folklore and religious beliefs. Many Hispanic families have stories of the paranormal. One popular legend is that of the Weeping Woman, aka La Llorona. The tall, thin spirit is said to be blessed with natural beauty and long, flowing black hair. Wearing a white gown, she roams the rivers and creeks, wailing in the night and searching for children to drag, screaming to a watery grave. No one really knows where the legend of La Llorona began or from where it originated. Though the tales vary from source to source, the one common thread is that she is the spirit of a doomed mother who drowned her children and now spends eternity searching for them in rivers and lakes. One night, I fell asleep watching Jay Leno as usual, and when I woke up, I was on the sofa in my living room. The time was 4 a.m., which illuminated from the stove in the kitchen. The television was off, and normally I had a light on, but this time it was pitch black. I woke up and I heard a horrible scream that was coming from far in the distance. The scream was coming from a ditch that was a few feet away from my home. I heard it and I thought I was hearing things. I asked myself, am I dreaming? Then I started to hear the animals outside howling and whimpering. As the screaming got closer, the animals continued to cry. The screaming was something I have never experienced ever before. It sounded like I was in a big hallway and a woman was screaming her guts down the hallway. Then in all the screaming, I started to make out words. These words being said by whoever this was at 4 a.m., screaming their guts out, shocked me. The woman said, "Ay, mis hijos, oh my children." In a huge panic, I quickly got up from the sofa and ran to the kitchen. I turned the closet light and looked around. The screaming didn't stop. In fact, the screaming only got louder and closer. I questioned my sanity at that moment. Then I thought to myself, this is real, and the animals are responding to it in a negative way. So I did what any other 11-year-old would do in a moment like this. I ran to my parents' room. I reached for my mom and shook her awake wildly. She woke up slowly, and to my amazement, the screaming faded away as she woke up. I asked my mother, "Mom, did you hear that screaming and crying lady?" My mom said, half asleep, "Go back to sleep. It is most likely just your imagination." I told her, "No, this is real. please listen. Don't you hear it?" My mom quickly just said, "You are dreaming, so go back to sleep. It is going to be okay." By then, the screaming had faded away, as if whoever was screaming knew that an adult is awake. I was terrified as I returned to the living room and quickly turned on the television, as I left most of the lights on as well. I did not go back to sleep until the sun came up. I could not believe what I heard and witnessed, and a couple years later, it happened to me again. An incident occurred with my aunt about a year after my encounter. According to my aunt, they were sleeping and suddenly there was a horrible sound coming from the ditch located in front of their house. It was about 2:30 a.m. when my aunt was awakened by a screaming woman. She figured out somebody was hurt or being attacked. She walked out to the front yard looking towards the ditch and saw no one. My cousin, her daughter, walked out the front as well, asking what was happening. My aunt, of course, had no idea as the screaming grew closer. Then they saw her, a woman in a white dress. The only thing that shook them to the bone was the woman had no feet and was clearly floating. Also, this woman had no face. They both just ran inside their house. My aunt locked the door and called the police. The police showed up minutes later and took their claim seriously. El Paso PD was soon looking at the area where this woman was seen. The police soon returned and said there was no evidence that a woman was there. They looked at the area where the woman was seen walking, and no footprints were found. One of the police officers even asked if maybe my aunt had been dreaming. The next day is when I went over to visit and saw my cousin like I have never seen her before. She had black bags under her eyes as she hadn't slept since the incident. She never heard or saw La Llorona again. But to this day, she won't deny that she witnessed something that she cannot explain. Unlike my cousin, I don't have the luck of avoiding La Llorona. It was in the mid-2000s when I worked at a local supermarket named Big 8. One of the shifts that I worked was from 3 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Oh, 3 a.m. It's like happy hour in the spirit world. Well, and you know what they say, it's 3 a.m. somewhere.
That's right. One such night shift, I had the back doors open and I was taking the empty milk crates outside in the back. I was working with two other guys. One of the guys, named R, thought it would be funny to close the back door and lock me outside. When I heard the doors close shut, I knew he was just messing around. I thought to myself, I will just stay quiet and wait for him to open the doors again. I wasn't going to give in to the joke of him trying to scare me. I could hear R laughing on the other side of the doors. I thought to myself, well, the joke's on him because I'm not scared. About 1 minute later, in the far distance, I heard screaming. I thought it's the same scream that I heard when I was 11 years old. The screaming got louder and closer to me. I felt a chill down my spine. I felt like I was being watched by some unseen force. I felt a sense of hopelessness. It was feeling unlike any other. I started pounding on the door and yelled, "Let me in! There is somebody out here!" I could hear R laughing on the other side. I started to kick the door. The screaming was now coming from right behind me. Just when R opened the door and said, "What the heck?" I ran inside and locked the warehouse door. R said, "Why was the lady screaming? Did she need help?" I told him that I don't think that was a lady. I told him what had happened to me when I was younger. R then said, "Don't you think maybe you're cursed or she's following you?" I stayed quiet. Maybe R was right. What if she was following me? Another incident that took place in 2015 when I started working as a custodian at Cedar Grove Elementary. Behind the school is the border highway. Then the Rio Grande, of course, covered by a huge metal fence that separates Mexico from El Paso. I worked the night shift from 2:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. One night I was working with another custodian, C. C always told me that he was never someone to believe in ghosts. Up until that night, we walked to our cars, and just as I was about to leave, I saw C open the hood of his car. Then he asked me, "Hey, can you give me a jump? My car battery is dead." I said, "Yes, of course." Just as I stepped out of my car, a loud scream came from the Rio Grande. All the animals in the neighborhood started howling. Once again, the scream resembled a woman screaming her guts out in a hallway as it echoed all over. C looked at me and said, "Oh my God, is that a demon?" I told him, "No, C, that is La Llorona." He said, "No way, she can't be real." I then said, "I have heard her before." Then C said, "Hurry, let's get out of here." I gave him a jump, and just then we saw a Border Patrol Jeep speeding towards the screaming woman. Then I thought to myself, I can record this and share it with the world. I took out my phone, and just as I hit record, the screaming faded away. C and I looked at each other, and he said, "Sorry, I'm leaving before that evil witch comes back to get us." We both left, and the next day C was telling everybody at work about the incident. That was the last time I encountered her. I don't think it will be the last.
Oh, it isn't. She's a social butterfly. You'll see her soon.
And that was Fear Friday. My name is Red, and this is Left on Red. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and press the bell notification button so that you get notified every time Polty and I upload a new video. Until next time.